You've probably heard someone say, "Diabetes runs in my family, so there's nothing I can do." And I get why people feel that way. When your doctor tells you your blood sugar is high and your A1C is climbing, it can feel like you've been handed a life sentence. But here's the thing most people don't realize. For a huge number of people with type 2 diabetes, this condition isn't just something that happens to you. It's something that can change, sometimes dramatically, when you change what's going on inside your body. And today, I want to talk about why that's true, what the science actually says, and why some people see changes faster than others. Let me start with something that sounds almost unbelievable at first. There are real people who have gone from extremely high blood sugar to normal or near normal levels in a matter of weeks or months. Not with magic pills, not with detox teas, but by changing what they eat and how they move their body. Now, that doesn't mean everyone will get the same results at the same speed, and it definitely doesn't mean you should throw your medications in the trash. This is not medical advice, and if you have diabetes, you need to work with your doctor. But what it does mean is that your body is a lot more responsive than most of us were ever taught. So let's talk about what's actually happening in type 2 diabetes, because once you understand that, the rest of this starts to make sense. In type 2 diabetes, the main problem isn't just that your blood sugar is high. The deeper problem is insulin resistance. Insulin is the hormone that helps move sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells where it can be used for energy. When your cells become resistant to insulin, sugar stays in your blood instead of going where it's supposed to go. So your pancreas pumps out more and more insulin trying to force the sugar in. Blood sugar goes up, insulin goes up, and over time this creates a vicious cycle. Here's where diet comes in. Think about what raises blood sugar the most. It's not steak. It's not eggs. It's not broccoli. It's carbohydrates, especially refined carbohydrates and sugar. Bread, pasta, cereal, pastries, soda, candy, sweet snacks, chips, and most packaged junk food all turn into glucose in your bloodstream. When you eat a lot of these foods, especially day after day for years, your blood sugar stays high and your insulin stays high. That's one of the main drivers of insulin resistance. Now imagine you stop pouring gasoline on that fire. Imagine you sharply reduce the foods that spike your blood sugar the most. When you eat fewer carbs, especially refined carbs, your blood sugar has fewer big spikes. Your insulin levels come down. And when insulin levels come down, your cells can start becoming more sensitive to it again. That's not a theory. That's basic human physiology, and it's been demonstrated in multiple studies. You know what surprised me when I first started digging into this research? How quickly the body can respond when you remove the constant sugar load. There are studies showing that people with type 2 diabetes who adopt a low-carbohydrate or very low-carbohydrate diet can see significant drops in fasting glucose and A1C within weeks, sometimes even before they lose much weight. And that part is important because a lot of people think, I need to lose 50 pounds before my blood sugar improves. In many cases, blood sugar improves first, and weight loss follows. This is where age and body weight come into the picture. Younger people, especially those in their 30s and 40s, often see changes faster than people in their 60s or 70s. Part of that is because younger bodies tend to be more metabolically flexible. Their cells respond more quickly when insulin levels drop. And people who are significantly overweight sometimes see dramatic changes early on because much of their high blood sugar is being driven by the constant intake of high-carb, highly processed food. But here's the part I really want you to hear. Slower does not mean impossible. If you're in your 60s or 70s and you've had diabetes for years, your body may take longer to respond. But that does not mean it can't respond. There are countless examples of older adults improving their blood sugar, reducing medications under medical supervision, and feeling better than they have in years. The destination can be the same, even if the timeline is different. Let's talk about weight for a minute because this is where things get misunderstood. Excess weight is strongly linked to type 2 diabetes, but it's not just the weight itself. It's what that weight represents. In most cases, being significantly overweight means years of eating foods that spike blood sugar and insulin. Donuts, pizza, chips, sugary drinks, desserts, and refined grains don't just add calories. They drive insulin up over and over again. High insulin makes it easier to store fat and harder to burn it. And fat stored in the liver and pancreas interferes with how those organs work. That's one reason insulin resistance develops in the first place. What's fascinating is that when people stop eating those foods, blood sugar can drop quickly even before the fat is gone. It's like turning off a faucet. The bathtub is still full of water, but it's not overflowing anymore. Over time, as insulin levels stay lower, the body starts to burn stored fat. That fat in the liver and pancreas can decrease, and insulin sensitivity can improve even more. Now, I want to be very clear about something. Low-carb eating is not a magic trick. It doesn't mean you can eat unlimited amounts of anything, and it doesn't mean everyone should eat exactly the same way. But the basic idea is simple. You focus on foods that do not spike blood sugar and limit the foods that do. That usually means meat, fish, eggs, non-starchy vegetables, full-fat dairy for those who tolerate it, and healthy fats. And it means cutting back hard on sugar, bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, pastries, and most packaged snack foods. When you do that, something interesting happens. Hunger often decreases. People feel more satisfied after meals. They're not riding the blood sugar roller coaster of spike and crash. And that makes it easier to stick with the changes long term. Because let's be honest, a plan that makes you miserable is not a plan you're going to follow for years. Exercise matters too, but maybe not in the way people think. You don't have to become a marathon runner. Moving your muscles helps them take in glucose without needing as much insulin. Even walking after meals can help blunt blood sugar spikes. Resistance training helps build muscle, and muscle is a major sink for glucose. The more muscle you have, the more places glucose can go instead of staying in your bloodstream. Here's where a lot of so-called experts confuse people. They say, everyone is different, so everyone needs a completely different solution. And yes, people are different in how fast they respond and what they prefer to eat. But the underlying biology is remarkably similar. High blood sugar comes from too much glucose in the blood and not enough getting into cells. Lowering the glucose load and improving insulin sensitivity addresses that problem at its root. Let me use an analogy that makes this clearer. If someone is drinking a small amount of poison every day and getting sicker and sicker, the solution is not to add vitamins on top of the poison. The solution is to stop drinking the poison. In this case, for many people with type 2 diabetes, the poison is the constant stream of refined carbohydrates and sugar. Switching from white bread to whole wheat bread is often not enough. Drinking juice instead of soda is often not enough. The sugar load is still there. Now, does that mean carbs are evil for everyone? No. But it does mean that for someone with insulin resistance, the tolerance for carbs is much lower. Just like someone with lactose intolerance can't handle as much milk as someone else, someone with insulin resistance can't handle as much glucose. One of the most important things to understand is that diabetes reversal does not mean you are cured forever. It means your blood sugar is in the non-diabetic range without medications, or with much less medication, as long as you maintain the lifestyle that got you there. If you go back to eating the way that made you diabetic in the first place, the numbers will likely climb again. That's not failure. That's biology. This is why mindset matters so much. You're not going on a 30-day diet. You're changing how you eat and live long-term. And that can sound overwhelming, but it can also be incredibly empowering. Because it means you're not helpless. You're not just waiting for the next prescription. You're actively changing the environment inside your body. Now, let's talk about safety for a moment, because this part is critical. If you have type 2 diabetes and you dramatically reduce carbohydrates, your blood sugar can drop quickly. That's good, but it can be dangerous if you're on medications that lower blood sugar, especially insulin or sulfonylureas. This is why you must work with your doctor. Many people who change their diet need their medications adjusted. That's not a bad thing. It's a sign the body is responding. And there are things we still don't know. Not everyone will achieve the same level of improvement. Genetics play a role. How long you've had diabetes matters. How much pancreatic function you still have matters. But what we do know is that many people can improve their blood sugar far more than they were told was possible. Think about what that means in real life. Better energy, fewer complications, less damage to nerves, eyes and kidneys, and often a sense of control that people thought they'd lost forever. I've talked to people who said the most powerful part wasn't the number on the lab report. It was realizing they weren't doomed. So where does this leave you if you're listening right now and thinking, okay, but what do I actually do? The first step is education. Learn what foods affect your blood sugar. Learn what insulin resistance is. The second step is to talk to your healthcare provider about making changes safely. And the third step is consistency, not perfection. Consistency. You don't have to do everything at once. You can start by cutting out sugary drinks. Then you can tackle bread and desserts. Then you can build meals around protein and vegetables. Small changes can lead to big results when they're sustained. And I want to say something especially to older viewers. If you're thinking, I'm too old for this to matter, that's just not true. Your body still responds to what you eat. Your muscles still respond to movement. Your blood sugar still responds to insulin. It may take longer, but longer is still better than never. The truth is, type 2 diabetes is not just about sugar. It's about how your whole body handles energy. And when you give your body a break from constant glucose overload, it often thanks you in ways that show up on your lab tests and in how you feel. If this changed how you think about type 2 diabetes, hit subscribe because I break down health science like this every week. Real research, no hype, just practical information you can use to take better care of your body.